A very warm welcome, one and all, from Super League HQ. We have made it to the halfway point, game week 13 of the current Super League campaign. And I'm pleased to say at the halfway point, I'm joined by reigning and defending champion, fresh from his romantic time away in Liverpool, Mr. Steve Wright. How are you, pal?
I'm very well, mate. I'm very well, thank you. This reigning champ thing, it's not going to last much longer. I'm milking it as long as I can, but no, all good. Looking forward to another night of interesting action.
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure to have you. Ghost games permitting, I've kind of been forced by people's requests to put a bit of an order together. Jens has asked to go early, so we're hoping to start with Hulls against Astor. Obviously, with you on comms, we will conclude with Churchtown against Dudley. Ian has asked to go late, so the penultimate game should, in theory, be Leddersford against Haggis. And then that just leaves the other couple of games as they come in the middle, if you are happy with that.
I'm happy with it.
Excellent. And we will forgive anyone who's not joining in live because of Soccer Aid. It is a good cause. It is on in the background, but I've also got it recording. Very enjoyable first half. I'm very much looking forward to going back after this and watching the second. Evening to everyone in the chat. Delighted to see that Dan, about the 27th time of asking, has found out where the YouTube chat button is. Welcome to the chat as well as the action, pal. I've seen Duggan, Jens, Alf, Mr. Piers, Martin, all there. Anyone else? Alf's here. Yeah, Alf. Swindon to sign Beck. Do you know what? I wouldn't be too upset, Alf. But I'm also interested in Swindon signing Tom Grennan because he looks a cut above most of the attackers in League Two. Can't wait for Byrne to get Seedorf, says Martin. Don't mind if you win, Jens. Evening to Greavesy, and a new name appearing in the chat. Are we going with Matthew, possibly, or Maffeo? Possibly. This is the CM account who I've been talking to very recently about how to get involved in the Super League. But one and all, whether new faces or returning, you are all welcome as always. Steve, before we get into the action, let's have a look at the league table. There are little gaps starting to appear as we reach halfway. So we've got Fulchester top, Haggis second, 3 points behind, and then yourselves, one of three sides, 4 points behind Haggis. What have you made to your start to the campaign?
I think I've said it a couple of times. Been a bit solid and fun, spectacular, really. Apart from the
You've been boring as shit to watch the last couple of game weeks.
Yeah, unreally so. We massively nicked one last week. We deserved a goal in it from the second half, but I think a draw would a bit robbery, really. I think looking at the text, I think as far as stats go, I think you've got to look at the text on games as well, and it were all Dragons for all that game. Yeah, we've been all right without, but we were. I think we needed, whether it happens or not, come end of this. I actually think the little transfer window mid-season contributed to us going further last season, bringing Saviola in, who got 7 goals, 7 assists in his 15 games, including playoffs that he played for us. And it might need a little bit of a boost again if we're going to do it. Am I confident of finishing in playoffs? I still fairly am. Up until conceding a couple of silly goals, we've been very, very good defensively in, I'd probably say, 90% of his games. So it's just a case of just keeping among it, really, especially when you look at teams below you. Hulls obviously finished last season, getting playoffs. Obviously, we all know what he was capable of. Leddersford are making a big push, and Devils in 5th have got more than enough in them to go on a charge and even claim top spot, which probably looks a bit out of reach. But even now, I'd say for us from Loco down, because they're just going to keep picking up points. So, but I mean, when you look down, and there's still only 5 points from Dragons, with theoretically, well, there's 14 games to go. Stick 2 or 3 wins together, or a couple of wins and a draw in 3 games. That propels them straight back up, and it's still massively all to play for. I think below first and second, who are probably the way they've gone this season already, probably nailed on for it. In my opinion, it's still a lot to play for from third to 12th, I think.
Well, it's certainly going to be an interesting second half of the season. I mean, let's face it, Northern Burn, who are sat bottom there on 7 points, we know that if Ian can get this to click and get some form to go in, they could quite easily, even from the 11-point gap they've got now, pick up more than enough points in the second half of the season to propel themselves into the top 6. But you're right, you're kind of looking, I mean, there's 3 points separating Leddersford in 6th to Astor in 9th. It has to be said what a job Alf is doing at Astor and the team of Martin and Dan are doing at Gazelles, both predicted to be the bottom 2, and at the halfway stage, far from it, both over double the points of the team currently sitting bottom.
Yeah, massively, and I think as we saw, like looking at the chat when we're coming on, I think the biggest surprise more than anything, Aston have got the players to be able to do it. Frank has been up there from doing stats for tonight. He's really propelled himself this season. He's had quite a lot of assists. But Clarence Seedorf, I tried and I failed, but I've tried and failed with many very class centre midfield players. And Seedorf's not a class centre midfielder, by the way. But if you've got a midfielder and he's pumping their numbers out for you, that's up there with very best. That we've, after 12 games, I bet there's no centre midfielders that have probably got that amount of contributions. Be interested to see if he can carry it on, or if he doesn't still finish like with around a 7 or slightly under a 7. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see like different players. When I was doing goal scorer lists, obviously Casas coming this year. Casas up there is in top 8 for goals scored, and obviously Sane's been doing it for Churchtown since coming in from out of the league, and just nice to see different players doing different bits in and amongst it all.
No, absolutely right, pal. Absolutely right. Evening, Rob, who I've seen you join the chat whilst he was talking there. Let's get on then. So we would like to, where possible, start with the Halls game. So let's go to them first at the request of Mr. Anderson, who always fears he is, well, not so much fears, it's almost hoping he's 1 game away from the sack. Here is the team that they have got for tonight's home game at home to Astor. We had a bit of chat pre-match about Daniel Adani, who makes just his 2nd start in 5 years for Halls, other than a pre-season friendly, of course. But he is in the team tonight. Evening, Hodgie. We've got Stephen Gerrard returns to the first team fold for the first time in a while, back from his long-term injury, back in the team. Vogel dropping to defensive midfield. What's your thoughts on this Halls 11, Steve?
I mean, obviously, I think it's all safe. I think Sol Campbell's been an absolute rock for Jens. He's just been like really good. Obviously, when we were talking, when obviously the Rustico situation come to light, where he wanted to leave on a Bosman. I actually went to Jens for Campbell before we agreed on Thuram, because I didn't think Thuram would get gettable, in fairness. But obviously, he's got a bit of a link. He's been impressed with how he's played for him this season. Vogel back in DM, he's going to put numbers there all day. But I think as a
Does
DM,
he not get better numbers in centre mid though when he's played for Halls?
Well, this is where I'm going. Where up until like being involved in Super League, I hated playing DMCs in centre midfield. But he's been creative. He's scored goals, got a load of assists. So it's interesting to swap round. Obviously, Stephen Gerrard started in that defensive midfield slot in the beginning of the season. I think Vogel's got more of a chance of getting a good number in CM than Gerrard will get a good number in DM. But you know what? It's a solid team. Derek Boateng in season 5 should be all right, but obviously he's not played too much. That still look probably where they get. They don't develop too much better than that. But he's had 2 sub appearances in the start, and he's got a goal and assist that shows what he can do come season 5. So be interested to see how he goes. I just think the 2 up top just look a little bit unbalanced. 2 big guys who sort of like let it play on edge. I mean, Crespo, I think he's doing. I did all right with Crespo for a spell, and then he tailed off. But ZZ Roberts has been, obviously since he came into the league, he's been very, very good, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him go on and start challenging a bit better. If he'll start in a bit of form and start really pushing for top 6 and above, I won't be surprised to see him up there with top scorers in the league coming into the season.
Let's move on to the away side then. As we've said, Astor have had a very good opening half of the campaign. They're without Luis Albert. It's not a massive loss. 4 starts, 1 sub appearance so far this season, but not been included the last couple of games. Alf's been lamenting the form of his goalkeepers. So we posted some stats out earlier today showing that they all get dropped when they get a 5. But prior to that, take Given out because he's only played 1 game and got a 5. Both the other sort of more regular choice goalkeepers have been in decent form for him.
Yeah, I mean, you have a stick or twist with it. I did it with Pellet Solly last season. He got 4, dropped him, come back, and he had a really good, strong end to the season and ended up getting voted goalkeeper at season. It's on the 5 game against Sloths this time round. And he hasn't been seasons because Abiat has been very good. I did plan on bringing him back in because of last season. But yeah, I think Alf's got history with goalkeepers of chopping and changing quite regularly. And I think regardless of them, everybody's liable a bit. We've seen so much boof on. I think probably the most consistent keeper up until obviously this last season and a half, because he hasn't really played since Dan coming at Leathersford, where I think it was around Joe. But in fairness, you'd rather have a keeper getting 7s across with the odd 8 rather than spikes of 9, 10, and then 4s and 5s. So, but he's getting bits out of Emerson. Obviously, his wing backs, as much as I love Steve Finnan, Sally Amity. I think 7.25 out of 12 games for Emerson in Super League. I think that's not bad.
It's a good average rating for him. I'll give you that. But is he getting stuff out of him? I mean, we've had people on comms before who have said it's all good and well. You know, look at some defensive midfielders. That I think it's Hodgie possibly, and possibly not so much Maka, but there's been 1 or 2 others that have said it's all good and well for having defensive midfielders getting high average ratings, but if they're not getting goal contributions, and this is supposed to be one of the best centre midfielders, with the exception of Barry Ferguson, this guy's tipped as the best centre midfielder, and he's had 3 goal contributions in 12 games.
No, I agree. He put more tackles in though than he has done probably over the course of half a season. When you look at his appearances last season, season 4, over last season for both his clubs. Yeah, I mean, obviously we denouncing of him at the minute. I'm surprised you stuck with him so long when you were in charge.
Well, if you remember, I always said the year that I left, that was the year I was getting rid of him anyway.
Ah, right. Well, yeah, he's not somebody I'm overly a massive fan of. Personally, I think he's done better when Hodgie had to put him into AMC and he had a couple of spikes playing well, or if he had to drop him into DMC, which has been done, I think, with Juden and a couple of spikes playing well. I don't think his stat suits just sitting there. I think he needs to be involved somewhere, whether it's a bit deeper in DM or a bit further forward.
Well, Jens has already predicted that David Day is going to get man of the match here and Astor will win 1-0. What's your thoughts? And we will kick off tonight's opening fixture.
I just think I think those are going to be a bit too strong. I think we're going to struggle to break that DM line. I'm going to go 2-0 Hulls. 2-0
to Hulls. Let's see if you are correct. 22 minutes already on the clock. Not much has happened. Time flying by, but both sides now starting to create a little bit. Franca getting involved, and then the time jumps to 40 out of absolutely nowhere. Yellow card there, I believe it was for Contra. Michael Owen's been involved, but not much happening, and we are already at half-time. Astor have been creating everything. Hulls yet to do anything of note, really, there.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you look at like tackles won for Astor, if that's like the Hulls forward players getting in good positions and like getting away from the men. Yeah, it's strange game. But considering it was very, very quick, I didn't expect that level of chances, even if it were combined, in fairness.
No, I wasn't, to be fair. Let's have a look at the home side.
Obviously, combined, but
Sorry?
I said obviously it is combined with Hull's not having any. But
Indeed, that's a very fair point. Let's have a look at the home team stats. Plenty of passing going on, if not shooting. But a very average performance. You're looking sort of in the engine room there. You got Milewski, Vogel, Boateng. None of them really sort of contributing much in terms of an attacking threat or a creative threat, at least. You know, Robertson and Crespo seeing plenty of the ball, but clearly not in positions where they can attack from. Fitness is of no concern, evidently, for Halls there.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of players that have been a bit harshly done to there. I mean, just looking at Baldini there, when they've had that big onslaught, they've been got out. Baldini's won 7 out of 8 his tackles. 3 of them, he's won both his headers. 3 of them are key. I think he's come at 13 out of his 14 passes. I think the 7's like there obviously must be something in the behind stats that's holding him back a bit. But yeah, I think Stevie Gerrard's done well in that centre midfield, and I just think there's far more to come for him, which should probably be. If I were in Al's position here, I think I've had a really good going first half. With far more to come from his whole side, I'd probably start being a little bit worried that where it's going to go.
Well, while you have chance to review the Astor stats, and Alf has chance to review and react, Halls have made a change. So Back's coming on at half time, and Vogel's pushing into centre midfield alongside Gerrard, with Milewski playing on his own in defensive midfield. So an attacking move by Jens to try and change the flow and pattern of the game. Looking here, to be fair, ratings very similar. If anything, there's been less passing from the Astor players, just maybe a bit more direct intent.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with how much they've created, etc., you'd expect a little bit more. But is it because there's been maybe a lack of a goal or something, and assist coming up that I'm pump one of them ratings a bit further up? And yeah, you just like I was saying, there's more to come from Hulls, but do you feel away from home and how well they've done it first half? There's that much more to come from Astor? I don't know.
Well, Alpha's going as is till 60, which, if it's anything like the first half, won't be very far away. Halls have started very quickly. Stark difference to the first half, but we have reached the hour point, and Halls have a free kick just outside the penalty area as we reach the tactical change point. Chance for Tristan maybe to come on and add his considerable physical presence.
I personally think Tristan's had a rough ride this whole day. But I remember the day I met Scott, we went out for a pint. He'd come to his company's place in Bradford, and we had a pint and we're talking. And I said, like, when a redraft comes, etc., I think he's deserved of a run. He's obviously got history of being decent as well in some seasons in Super League. He can be a very good striker, but obviously with his options up top, and I'm not surprised to see him taking Crespo off there, because it's just we've all tried. There's just no reason why Aaron Crespo shouldn't be one of the top scorers in this competition.
In fairness, he got 15 last year.
Yeah, that's. Has anybody else had a return similar to that from him from a full season?
No.
Off memory, I wouldn't have thought so. So I think Jens deserves massive plaudits for getting that out. In fairness.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's worth noting a significant footballing milestone has just happened here. All the love in the Super League for Clarence Seedorf at the moment. Love Island's Kem has just become the joint record goal scorer in Soccer Aid history alongside Clarence Seedorf with 4 goals. So well done to Kem. Jens has brought Tristan on for Crespo. Let's see. Alf does now like, after being slow to get used to this sort of hourly tactical change situation, he does now enjoy making these changes. It wouldn't surprise me to see Sorin come off, because he's a big one for fitness. Michael Owen as well, possibly, as Alf looks to get a goal or two in this second half.
Yeah, I mean they do quite on their own. She's a little bit of quite a few of them, don't they? I mean, I fell foul of it after last game. Obviously, I left Lizarazu and Good Johnson on for the game, and by the time obviously we saw us pitching as pack, it were Dimble. By the time we saw us pitches in his pack, they were saying they were still struggling. I don't care what anybody says about fitness, like Tato says, etc. Being a myth, you're not going to put anybody on 84 and 86% in. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does here have, because obviously his bench options, I think, all season have not led him to have many options for change, even though the options there to be able to have some.
So we've got Placente coming on for Sorin is confirmed, and Fowler coming on for Michael Owen. No tactical amendment by either side. So it's certainly been an interesting second half. We'll see how it pans out. Both sides making those changes now. Yellow card for Franca. Paul's come forward again. They have a corner. We'll slow it down now. 15 minutes to play. Rossini goes down. Vogel's tripped him. Yellow card for the captain. Tristan going now. And still Tristan. Candea over the bar. It did bounce. And there's Tristan again. Day with a fine save. Tristan must score. Tristan does score. And this is where the managers earn their money. Diego Tristan with his first ever goal for the club. Rewards the manager for having faith in him. And now back comes forward. Tristan, it was flicked onto him, but the keeper gets there. Emerson now come forward. Placente, Rossini offside. Into the final 10 minutes, into the final 5 minutes. And now here comes Robbie Fowler. Franca was offside though. 2 minutes being added on. Into those 2 minutes now. Vogel, excellent tackle. And now on the counter-attack is Asta. Emerson looking for Fowler. Baldini is a rock though. And there, oh no, it's not the full-time whistle. There's one last chance maybe. Free kick to Asta. Emerson. Oh, he's done it in injury time. The man that I was lamenting for poor goal return, poor goal contributions, has scored. And Jens will be sick because there was a minimum 2 minutes added on. And in the 93rd minute, Emerson has levelled things up for Asta. And the game finishes 1-1. And already... Already, Dimble, that's class. Kemerson, love it. But full time, and Asta probably deserving of the points, Steve.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it always happens, doesn't it? And there's some weird thing. We always had this thing of the game since playing it when it first come out. You talk about players, or if you're playing it on your own, you see a certain player's name, and sometimes on a text you see a certain player's name, and you just think about that player's name. Something happens with them. How many times on comms has it happened? We talk about Tristan, we talk about Emerson, and it just I think it shows. Like I say, Tristan can do bits.
So the guys picked it up in the chat. Adani handled the ball, which led to the free kick, which was taken quickly by Liverani, and Emerson got there before Archie back to score.
Well, again,
sorry, you were saying. I'll let you carry on.
No, just saying. The amount of times it happens on comms, and it has over the last 5 seasons, me being involved. Or 4.5 seasons. People just mention somebody's name, and it's as if something can hear you. It just happens time and time again, doesn't it?
Let's have a look at Asta. And not only did he score the equaliser, but Captain Emerson does actually pick up man of the match for his performance. You can understand why with 24 of 35 completed passes, but look at the tackles, 16 tackles and 11 completed. He's worked very, very hard there, scoring with his only goal. Robbie Fowler, just having a look at his contribution, it was limited. Michael Owen obviously had a lot more time on the pitch to try and to be thorn in the side of the Hall's defenders. But Alf will be quite pleased looking at that.
Yeah, of course. I think points in Super League are hard enough to come across. If you can pick any point up away from home, you've done all right. He'd probably been disappointed in first half not to get a goal, but going 1-0 down when I was lamenting the fact that they'd probably done as much as they could do, and it were going to be us coming forward. Yeah, I think he'll be happy and he'll move on to more than likely an home game next game and just see where we go from there.
Well, congratulations to both sides on your point and for starting the night off in entertaining fashion. Next up, Devils versus Sloths. Yeah, I think that's okay to play next. We've got the battle of the managers who swapped clubs pre-season, of course. So, former Devils boss Hodgie now at Sloths, and a change of tactic for this one. He goes free up top against his former side.
Yeah, and I can see why Hodgie's done this, because this is identical to a lot of things that a lot of the tactic that Rob played throughout probably quite a hell of a lot of his time as Sloths manager. I actually love the shithouser of it if they're going to come away with a result here.
You think they will?
No, I said I love the shithouser of it if they come away with a result. playing a Rob tactic that he played with his team. But where they are in the league, why not go at them? It's been seen that they can be got at a little bit this season so far, and and this £90,000 rated Simeone who scored last time out, I think as well. It just is, but yeah, he's got a chance to do a bit of something. Like I said, they can be got at a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how they deal with something that they used to play themselves.
Well, for those who were keeping tabs of the situation at Devils, who have been, let's say, criticised, I won't say whether fairly or unfairly, they are missing 3 absolutely key players tonight, with Frey, Nesta and Montero all suspended at the same time. That's seen a slight tactical shift from last time out. So Oya's come in, Tupana Ayala, Kudicini's come in goal. Ferguson has come in as well and been pushed forward, so they're actually playing the centre midfielder. But the attack remains the same, with Kuhl and Dyer out wide, Etu, Aymar supporting Mpenza. Thoughts on this Devils side, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it's still available, doesn't it? I mean, obviously, if they get a defensive injury, Oya's been playing a lot. To be fair, he's probably been playing more this season than he's seen over the last 4 seasons prior. In terms of as far as it goes, and if that doubles, it's probably about the same. But obviously, he could pull Soroczynski back. Soroczynski could play anywhere, really. And it's solid, considering, like I say, they're missing big players, but it still doesn't look overly weak. I think the big one's Nesta. Nesta's always been a bit of a player that I've always found a bit hit and miss, in fairness, as a centre half. But I think this iteration of where they are is just he's been unreal. So I think he'll be the biggest miss of them.
Sorry, excuse me. We'll go to kick-off as Martin chasing the playoffs with Gazelles, signalling his intention earlier today, saying that he needs a Sloths win here. Tato saying it looks a good setup from the Devils. So we've got the Black and Reds against the Red and Black. Steve, your score prediction?
I'm going to say 1 apiece.
1 apiece? Let's find out if you are correct. And these are horrible colours and mashes, so you think there's been a goal. Etu's had 1 disallowed inside 5 minutes. A yellow card handed out, I believe, possibly for Oya. Rob saying Sloths will win 3-0. And Mpenza scores on 20 minutes to give the home side the lead. Larson has a chance. Pizarro levels things up on 27 minutes. 1-1. Another game flying by, but it's 2-1 to Nielsen for the away side. And now here come Devils again. These two are really going at each other. This could be an absolute goal fest if these two get into anything that resemble form. We've got to half time, and it is 2-1 to the away side, Steve. 11 attempts on goal between them. Sloths, though, have created the majority of those 11.
That is Rob Sloth doing Sloths against Rob Sloth as Devils manager, innit? That's just, like I said before, going at them with something that their manager plays regularly. Obviously, everything behind will be a hell of a lot different to what Rob's always played with it, but massive, great performance from Sloth so far. They've got to take it out towards you for where they're going about the business so far.
So, looking at the stats here for the home side, and the thing that jumps out at me straight away is the very low numbers of passes, with the exception of Van Bronckhorst. I mean, you look at Diet or even Ferguson to an extent, not really seeing as much of the ball as I'm sure Rob would like.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been a funny one, hasn't he? He's been sort of in and out of the team. And I think most managers, most other 13 managers would probably have him starting week in, week out where he is. But yeah, it's. I mean, how good have away Martha Roger, and it's. Yeah, it's. I love seeing Rob doing Rob things, and I still want to. I want him to finish in playoffs, but sometimes I think maybe, with the greatest respect, it might be his own decisions at the time that may stop getting that ultimate title.
So, and is that for any reason? Is that lack of ability, lack of taking it seriously, or just not fully? Because it's clear that the squad is there to do it.
Yeah, he didn't want to. Certainly not a lack of ability at all. We saw what he did with that Sloth side, most entertaining side over the course of this iteration, without a doubt. Maybe it's not so much, probably. Obviously, we've seen bits and bats when he's posted over the last since lockdown saves that he does. Maybe not having the players that he's got at his disposal enough regularly to maybe get the most out of them. Maybe he did something with lesser players he had at Sloths, because that's players that he's played with a lot before. I don't know. I certainly will say it's less of ability. We're all old enough and played it long enough to be. I think we're all near enough on an even keel, in fairness. But I think it's just they seem very much Dudley-esque. Season 1, 2, and 3 changing all the time, and obviously look how well Odgie did with changing next to no. That's all I'll say.
It's fairly low passing numbers as well for Sloths, but more evenly distributed throughout the players. Simeone's fitness, would that be something that might concern you, already being at 82% at halftime?
Well, I think Razu were 84 for us, but he were playing very well. You just let it run. I agree with Taylor to an extent that conditions are myth during the game. It don't bother me so much during the game. I won't start anybody on less than 90%. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm looking at Nielsen as well. He's dropped a bit, probably somewhere similar to 79%, but he's got his goal, and it's going to be an interesting second half.
Well, Hodgie says roll on to 60, so that is what we will do. First 10 minutes goes by. Devils have the first attack of the half. There's an attempt for Sloths, and we reach 65 as the timer allows for the substitutes. So still no change to the score. Not much action either in the second half. Looking at what's available, Richie Wellens, possibly if you were to move one of the defensive midfielders, or does he even maybe go one at the back, just to try and get more attacking players on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, coming up at 65 minutes, I think it looks fairly reasonable. I think he's probably right to do there, move Eto up top as well, just put a bit of pressure back on. I don't know who it was. I saw that he'll have to go off from Sloths, so obviously I think somebody's injured. But I don't think his bench options can offer a quarter of, even if they were on 60%, his bench options couldn't offer in the positions that are available, couldn't offer what he's got already on pitch.
Well, it's Henrik Larsson that's got injured and will need to be replaced. Rakoba, the obvious change there. Simeone's fitness again continues to drop. 76 now, still with 25 minutes to play. But they're quite defensive changes, although Patsizoglu maybe could play there with Desai slotting into holding midfield.
Oh, I mean, Patsizoglu for Roger Leeds were Vogel-esque in centre midfield. He played there majority of his time. The numbers he put out for a defensive midfielder, right centre, whatever he is, to put them numbers out that he put in from his centre midfield, he was superb. So, yeah, I don't think there'd be any qualms whatsoever with sticking Desai there and moving Simeone back. But he's been good at Simeone, regardless of his age and years, and I think he's doing the right thing with sticking with what he's going with and just throwing somebody else up there.
Desai is coming on, but there's no change of tactical shape. He is going to play in centre midfield, as Rob says that he'll bet his mortgage on Rakoba scoring. So 25 minutes left to play. Still Sloths winning 2-1. We'll let another 5 or 10 minutes go before we slow the commentary down. There we go. Eto smashes it low, but it's well saved. Another attempt from Eto, and he scores to make it 2-2. Oh, it's been disallowed. The second time he scored tonight to have it disallowed. Ferguson offside this time. And Devils come forward again. 2 goals disallowed for the home side. Sloths really are riding their luck here as Dyer comes forward, and now Van Bronckhorst, he's tripped by Desai, who goes in the book. Free kick to the home side. Well held by Ngatulin from Dyer's attempt. 5 minutes left to go. What a win this could be for Sloths. Rakoba comes forward, and now on the counter-attack, but it's easily dispossessed and Valgarin, but Ferguson picks it up. And Soroczynski, free kick to the home side. Dyer strikes it again, deflects off the wall, and Valgarin, with the help of Desai, is able to clear. 88 now on the clock. Do Sloths have enough in them to hold out just a little bit longer? Harry Kuehl from the wing, and Penza off the line. And we're into 90 minutes now. Are we going to see more late drama? And Penza so close, it's the top of the bar. And there's the final whistle, and it ends Devils 1, Sloths 2. The home side threw everything but the kitchen sink at it in the end, Steve, but just didn't have enough quality there, really. We had Mpenza putting it just over the bar, Dyer striking every free kick seemingly into the wall. Just not enough quality there to get the leveller.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they've come out massively and gone really. I think the one thing I did notice, and I don't know if anybody else watching noticed, Desai's name was mentioned a hell of a lot there.
Yeah.
So he's obviously come on and done that. And I'd probably say it doesn't really matter what his rating is or even his numbers. His name were there and he was involved. And he's obviously broke down a hell of a lot of what's going on.
Well, I mean, in his 25 minutes, he's completed 10 of 13 passes and attempted 7 tackles, winning 3 of them.
Yeah, he's come on and just run about and got involved, and he dropped that 86% as well himself already. So I think that says a bit about where he's at personally. But no, listen, I mean, Michael Lamy, I went for him as DMR cover for Zanetti because I thought his stats looked very good in save. Probably, I think I'll be a little bit disappointed with Solari there. He scored a couple of goals. He was up there with top at assists makers, but it doesn't really matter about your ratings, who scored them out. If you're coming away, if you're going away at Devils and you're coming away with a result, you're delighted however you've got it.
Despite being on the losing side, Emil Mpenza gets man of the match for his all-round performance. Just looking around, there's a fair few 8s in the team. You're looking at Eto, Dyer, Soroczynski, Van Bronckhorst. But you're looking at Barry Ferguson, you're expecting a lot more from him. Obviously, Aymar got dragged off at half-time. You're expecting a lot more from him. I mean, the defensive players didn't really, despite conceding 2, they got decent reigns, put in decent performances. But it's just that way for Devils at the minute, isn't it? They're looking far from what they're capable of.
Yeah, and again, it's not settling. I think that's the only thing with Rob. But he said he was going to go and he would go with it and try and go a bit more balls deep. And obviously, when you were in charge at Devils, you were you were fairly free scoring. It seems like it'd suit Rob because it's not too far off being the same squad that you had, apart from a couple of big names that probably start. But we all know he just finds one formation, one game when it clicks. They'll go give somebody an hiding, and then they're going to make a big charge up and could end up quite easily in grand final, no problem.
Well, congratulations to Hodgie and Sloths for the 2-1 win away at Devils. Certainly not a result that teams like Northern Burn would have wanted to see down the bottom of the table. Let's move on then. We're not going to Churchtown Dudley. Wanted to save Haggis till late, and they were playing Leddersford. So should we go to Northern Burn versus Gazelles? Bottom of the league against 10th in the division. This is the away side. One change from their 3-2 win over the then league leaders Haggis. And that is Nakata comes in at right wing back for Asamoah.
Well, it's ending, isn't it? We've seen attacking midfielders coming in and do really well. Roy Mackay for you, Ortega for Scott Bostock, Zenden for Gazelles has come in and done really well. So, I think why not? He's a player I like. I know there's big jokes about Nakata and obviously Fiore being available all the time from Burn, but it just depends on where his rating's at. I think what if you're going to play somebody out there down in wing back, there need to be a right-sided or left-sided 20 to be able to do it. But it's solid. We've seen that it's regardless of how defensive it looks, even with the arrows, it still looks defensive. But they've gone at teams and they're having, by all accounts, from whatever expected, having a really good season.
Dimble's saying Churchtown scouts are watching Nakata as Rob says he can't believe he lost that game, to be fair, with 2 disallowed goals. Talk to us just briefly before we move on about Christian Posadas. Obviously gone out on loan to Gazelles. He's played half the available game. Well, I think he's pretty much featured in every game since he joined, but he's played half the games this season. Perhaps not been the most effective midfielder in the league, but it must be nice for you to see one of your players out on loan at another club featuring so heavily.
Yeah, I mean, I picked him up from Magneton at auction. I think it was $1.5 million. I think I picked him up for. His stats at that point were looking very, very good, and I should have really played him. He's extremely good at the game. His mental stats are very good. Where he can play, he's extremely versatile. He's a very good player. But it's when you look there, his stats have dropped off, and he still wouldn't have got a look in. So obviously when Martin come and asked, I were more than happy to let him go. I think I've loaned out probably more. I think I had 3 out on loan at one point last season. I've probably loaned out more players than a few people have over the last couple of seasons since Ryan brought it in.
Let's have a look at the home side then. Northern Burn, big suspension news with Cannavaro being unavailable. That sees Hoffland come in, Okoronkwo go over to the other side. That's the only change from the win last time out. Roy Keane taking the captain's armband. Can you see Northern Burn building on the win now and maybe going on a bit of a run?
Yeah, I think for me, the thing is, everybody likes players in certain places and where they play. For me, Brozek, I think Brozek can do a lot better up top at the side of Clivert with Robin in behind. But if you're playing this formation, somebody like Totti, who's especially got forward in his abundance, in his positioning, maybe a little arrow going forward to central might contribute a little bit more. But he's done it from there for him before when he won his title. So yeah, it's a difficult one because when you look and you're missing George Atos from DML, you're missing Contra from DMR. They give him so much. It's tough to see why they're doing so not so well, in fairness. I mean, a 33-year-old Josette still looks class. Probably getting any team at DML. Probably getting mine. Obviously, I've got Arca on loan, but probably getting mine now above Lizarazu. But there's very good players in there, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be picking. And it's probably game engine and the way they've been, in fairness. But be interested to see what happens come after this season with Ian and where he goes with the team and stuff. But yeah, I think it's probably one of the toughest games to call, in fairness, because Gazelles are going in fairly reasonable form and burning off at the back of the win.
Okay, a score prediction then, please.
2-1 Burn, but Gazelles' goal to be assisted by Sadov.
Okay, very precise. And it's Gazelles that started the quickest again, looking the most likely, but then Byrne come forward, miss a decent opportunity. Free kick to the away side. Nakata now getting involved. Vieira goes in the book. And it's 1-0 as Anelka with his 5th of the season. I think you were right. I think it was assisted by Sadorf. It's 1-0 to the away side. And that has certainly woken Byrne up. They are piling forward at the moment, trying to find this equaliser. Are they in danger of leaving a lot of space at the back? They are. It's Besadas with his first goal for Gazelles. Second goal for Gazelles. On the stroke of half time, and the away side remarkably go in. Oh, not remarkably, to be fair. You said they're in good form. Somewhat surprisingly, go in at the break 2-0 up, Steve.
I mean, Ian's been in this position a fair bit where he's really gone at teams, and he's one of his. Toldo's probably been, even Barthez are probably the best two keepers over this save throughout the seasons. Looking at the 2 on target for Gazelles, one of Toldo's moments, but yeah, it doesn't look like a 2-0 game on that, does it?
Let's look at the home side first. You mentioned a Toldo moment. You're right. He's rating a 5 at half time. Not very often we see that. Again, look at Keenan Cliver, very low. Touch contributions at all. We've got Vieira and Okoronkwo in the book as well to be considered. I'm also looking at Vieira's condition. Started 100%. He's down at 83 already. Maybe he's got a little bit of a knock in that first half. But what did Byrne do here?
I don't know. I mean, we're talking about Totti, and it looks like he's just running about chasing shadows and not doing what he can do best. I think I've noticed it quite a lot. When you look at his stats, like half time or 60 minutes for Byrne this season, he's been involved making a lot of tackles. Like his stats sort of lead to he can do that sort of job. But yeah, I don't know. It's bemusing. It is bemusing to an extent because they've lost Sigalko, got a lot of goals, but Clivert's been as good in this save as well. So
Big Titus Bramble, who has been in decent form, he's struggled a little bit in this game so far, also rating a 5. I mean, the ratings are quite good for Gazelles, but again, look at Sadorf, Hersey, Besadas, Anelka, very, very few actual touches of the ball. Gazelles are playing a very, very direct game at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's mad to think over 45 minutes that you haven't got nobody there who hasn't had the ball at the feet, trying to pass the ball more than 15 times. I mean, Besadas has done obviously what he after talking about him. Titus Bramble, I mean, to be fair, one thing I will say is I know he's up there for pass completion in league. His stats look decent. He's got that in him, but he's still got them zeros in some places in the editor. And for me, Mourinho is probably, me personally, that's just my opinion, Gazelle's best centre half. Obviously, a big thing with Med when Ferdinand got let go from Gazelles, but Mourinho was superb for him. I was going big for him when Duggan with Gazelles manager. We nearly had something about the line, didn't happen. And I think he might find himself back in it next game.
Both sides make one change at half time. Guerrero coming on for the home side, Fiore for the away. Let's see how that affects things as we head towards the hour mark. No tactical changes. We have already reached the alterations mark. Bern, the only side sort of looking from the small bit of text we've had, like they've made any sort of attacking gains in that second half, but they're the side that obviously needed to. They have got young Collins and Sunwell on the bench. Can you see him coming on and maybe partnering Kluivert for the rest of the half, perhaps risking Vieira or Keane and going more attacking?
For me personally, I think it'd probably give me a little bit more, again, just in my opinion, swapping Guerrero and Totti and putting an arrow between AMCs with Guerrero. But I mean, you just want to trying to carry on breaking down. I mean, that's a big bank at midfielders. I think you're better off with Roy Keane still in there. And it's no reason, like we say, with Totti making all the tackles in the first half, because it's just they're flooded. So I think they're probably keeping him on, and I just think that switch might just give me a little bit more now. But again, for me, I'm bemused as to what I can do.
Both managers going as is, which surprises me a little bit, but we will carry on. It's still 2-0 to the away side. Soccer Aid, for anyone interested, has gone to penalties. Still Bern coming forward. If they can get one, you feel they've got it in them to get another, but at the moment it's not worth slowing down commentary. The game's not tight enough, and then the last sort of 15 minutes flies by with absolutely nothing happening, and Gazelles running out 2-0 winners. Very similar, it seemed, to your game the other night, Steve. It looks to be like it's going to be one hell of a defensive performance from Gazelles.
Yeah, you've got to feel for him there, especially with the season he's having so far. He's done that. If you take away looking at Gazelle's side of it, or you take away the scoreline at top, you've got a result there. But he's been in that position so many times this season, and it's obviously Toldo that slung the if we were in. I mean, Offland's a big one. I've talked a while back with Ian about Offland, and he were never going to go and have a Wallace annual because they were so good together. Or with Cannavaro when Offland come in, I don't know what I could say that Ian ain't just pulling his little bit of air he's got out, because I'd be the same. I'd just be going again, because that's a good performance. It's very similar, is that, to what Dragons have done this season.
Let's have a look at the Gazelles side. You mentioned about Bramble and Marino Daisy, the centre-back partnership, actually the other centre-back in the partnership, I should say, getting man of the match for his performance. Fiore came on and had a bit of a contribution, but good, again, the ratings seem to go up, and decent ratings for the Gazelles team by the end.
Yeah, I mean, Udinese has got the Premier League, hasn't he? I think after Maka took over Panathinaikos, when he got to the final against Ryan, against Bolton Phoenix, Udinese were his main man, the Mandingo at centre half. And obviously, come season 5, he is extremely good. But yeah, Bramble's done very well to pull himself up from that rating. And again, just keeps ploughing numbers out of Sadov.
Well, congratulations to Gazelles, whose great form continues. Northern Burner are going to find themselves further cut adrift at the bottom, at the halfway stage, unfortunately for them. I know Ian is here now, but he did ask for later, so we'll carry on. Fulchester against Bostock would be next up. And unsurprisingly, after their 2-0 win over Devils, Maka has gone unchanged.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't not, would you? Again, you beat the same as Odgers tonight, really. You've beaten what has been claimed to be the best team in the league over the last 4.5 seasons. There's players there that Maka likes, and they've played and not done too good and not getting a game, and putting his tried and tested players back in. at times, but he's been able to do that because he's been in such good form. And it genuinely sort of looks and feels like between Maka and Ian at minute, it could be one of their year.
What have you made of Molina? Slowly really upping his reputation despite his age. Conceded just 2 goals in his 5 starts and 1 sub appearance. I think he's on a run of something like 4 clean sheets in a row.
Look, why would you bring Buffon back in when he's been so susceptible to having a few throwing whatever in, and Molina's just been solid? So I don't blame Mac at all in the slightest for sticking with it, and it's one of them.
How much do you think reputations can be built in the Super League? And by that I mean, regardless of whatever happens, we know that it sort of restarts next season. Could a player like Molina, after this run, if he can maintain it for this season, be a first choice goalkeeper for somebody?
Depending on who somebody draft, yeah. I mean, I think the thing is, and probably the same with different iterations and different saves, players build value during what you see and what they've been doing. There's a few players in this save. I watched a long time beforehand and gone back and watched other ones. There's a few players in this save that have really come to the fore that now hold more value, I'd say, than they would have ever done coming into this save. So it's going to be very interesting where there's players that are just going to massively hold value again in a transfer market. When I'd probably say, as it stands now, when you've got people like Ryan getting Yap stamped for cash, and the transfer market in the league as it currently stands with the current managers, it's probably the toughest market to try and deal in than it probably has been, from what you've seen from teams and what people have brought in over the course of the Super League being a thing.
Okay, let's have a look then at the away side and more alterations for Bostock. I brought up the season graphic to date, and we've seen how inconsistent they've been. Probably been the most consistently side rocked by injuries and suspensions. Risky going away to the league leaders and playing 1 at the back.
Yeah, but when you look at the players that are playing, probably, in fairness, probably bar Vieri, who's been a bit anonymous for him mostly. I like it a lot. And 25 starts, it's still not. I always take some appearances out when you see goals, but yeah, look, he's had an up and down season. Obviously, him and Ian go back. The thing that's really sticking out with me there is why is Raul not starting ahead of Fernando Torres? But
I think Torres has got 6 goals this season. Is probably the reason.
We'll find out if conditions are miffed, then, won't we?
Yeah, well, it certainly will. We got Cafu as well there on just 86%. How much attention's been paid to that, I don't know, because he is obviously of advancing years as well. So it's not like he's going to be the quickest to recover. We have seen obviously condition a few times. It's worth pointing. I mean, what have we got here? We've got Fulchester. It's because they played Wednesday, Saturday. Is the 3 days not enough for some of these older players to recover? Scott already saying that they're going to lose 4-0. And Maka saying he's going to lose 3-1. So both managers clearly very confident. What's your score prediction, please?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to struggle to a 2-1 Fulchester win, but there's another short turnaround again, isn't there? I just saw that we're at 21st of December, so yeah, another short turnaround for the old boys with the old legs.
Well, obviously, all managers are issued with the same information. They can see the condition of their players. It's up to them whether they risk them. 20 minutes goes by with absolutely nothing happening, and then Welsh scores his first goal of the season to give the away side the lead. Cafu goes in the book. Fulchester come forward. Free kick given, not converted. It's all Fulchester now looking for that equaliser. And Bostock come forward and Vieri scores. And then Gonzalez, who's only just come back from injury, goes off injured again. So it's 2-0 to Bostock Stanley. I'm going to presume, with their only 2 attempts on goal being on target from what I've seen, but now they've lost Gonzalez. So the obvious answer here being Raul, would you say?
Personally, me, yeah.
Well, we're wrong because Scott's gone Kutuzov.
With the arrow sideways, but still staying in an AMC role, I can see why Scott's done that, for definite.
Mac is saying Scotty's not asked about the Super League, but tries against Macca. So 2-0 they lead. Let's see how that injury upsets their style of play. Beckham with a nutmeg, but doesn't go any further than that. Are Bostock going to get a third for half-time? No is the answer there. To Bostock's credit, they have had 4 attempts on goal, 3 on target, scoring 2 of them. Fulchester creating just a couple of chances themselves as well, but ruthlessly efficient by the away side.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd say with the but tries
it was
against
always going to come, wasn't it?
Yeah, again, you spoke about him beforehand. We had a conversation about him, but I think, in fairness, like to Mac's comment about Scott not being asked but tries against Macca, I think that's. I don't think playing 1 at back with 5 with a load of arrows everywhere is trying. It's just like it's just trying a bit of something different because in theory you're going to get beat. But I mean, Gattuso's done bits there, as is obviously as standard is for Nicky, but we have got to be delighted with that massively.
Surprisingly, Macca's not changing it at all. Judging from what we know of Mackie, that says to me he's given up with this game already. As for Scott, looking at his stats here, it's there are 1 or 2 standout performances in that first half, but it's not exactly been world class, has it?
No, they've obviously just taken the chances that they've. As people blame him, Torres again, he's only dropped 4%. He's got an assist, but they've just been efficient.
So both managers going as is at half time. So we'll go towards 60. Fulchester need a goal. They're the side coming forward, but failing to convert these sort of half chances they got. Kutuzov it was there for the away side. A third would absolutely wrap it up for them. A lot more action in this second half. Still, as we only just reached our mark, and Torres has a good opportunity, but fails to convert. Trezeguet, the only attacking option on the bench. What do you see, if anything, Fulchester doing here?
I mean, if you're bringing Trezeguet on, you're probably taking Arrow off. There you go. I don't know. It's hard. It doesn't seem like there's, apart from taking the Arrow off Figo and bringing Trezeguet on, it doesn't seem there's much that Matt can do, considering his.
Well, Figo's coming off for Trezeguet, and it's Ronaldo dropping into the hole. Just clarify, Macca, please, if you want Ronaldo with an arrow or not. And then we'll be able to move on. Also, Nedved at left mid, swap Duff for Van der Laan is the other change.
Yeah, and he's been good, hasn't he, as Aaron Spring. So he's been a very decent addition to Fulchester squad.
As for Bostock, then 2-0 up with half an hour to play, having a semblance of control. Would you be looking here, Cafu, on a yellow, on low fitness, to potentially rest him up, or Welsh key player 79%? Or you mentioned Raul getting in the team. Would he come on for Torres just to add a bit more experience up there?
I mean, I think if anything, he might try and protect Cafu a little bit with short turnaround, bring Pritton on, and I'd probably swap with Welsh as well because Pritton is more of a central. But again, you win 2-0 away at league leaders. Apart from looking after a couple of players or looking after a player, what else are you gonna? What else can you do? You've got half an hour to hold out a 2-0 lead, and
so we have got Cafu coming off for Pritton. It's Welsh is going to go and play wide. Pritton sitting just inside. That's the only change for them. So we resume the action, half an hour to go, still 2-0 to the away side. Tactical change by Fulchester to see if that helps them to at least pull one back and make it interesting. But it's Bostock that hit the bar. And there's Trezeguet with an opportunity, 75 now on the clock. It doesn't look like it's going to be Fulchester's night here, does it? Yellow card handed out, Shevchenko. 5 minutes left to play now. 4 minutes being added on. Are we going to get any late drama? No is the answer there. Due a defeat, not terminal already. Absurd formation to get a result. Good game, Scott. Well played, mate, says Macca. Technically, before the full-time whistle went. It has now gone. Strange from Fulchester to see him getting 100% on target and not score any.
Yeah, definitely. But I think Matt's comment, like, it shows a lot there. This sort of thing can happen. You can throw a massively crazy formation out for one game and get a good result. There's no way to sustain it over a 2 or 3 game period. So it's got to run with it, fair enough. But I think it's just go league leaders. And I saw he's got us next out, so I'm sure. I don't think he'll be playing one at back against us, but it still shows Nicky Butt's got a man at match. I mean, they've got all them shots and attempts on target, but it shows how much Bostock have got to have.
Yeah,
we know it's regular, but he's had to do a lot of work and get involved. But yeah, massive kudos to Scott for that. And that's not we've seen worse performances even get results.
Some interesting post-match reaction. Tato saying, love the creativity in the formation. Macca saying, 3 forwards against 1 centre-back. Game's fucking stupid. And Scott suggesting, we will soon see, I think he means we will soon see when they roll again next week against Eusty. Same formation. Do your worst. Let's have a look at the victorious Bostock team. And it just looks like a solid all-round team performance, that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look at Zeriberto's 6. It's pretty unknown, but by that, it's really good. I mean, for it not to have for Elefropoulos not to really have man at match, it's probably a bit unjustified with all that coming at him. Molina picking himself up to a 6, which it doesn't sound great, but he's obviously done his bits in second half as well. David Putton's come on and done a number, as he did for Fulchester. He were extremely good on the times we played Fulchester, and there's some results tonight so far that are just throwing up top 6. Can go anywhere.
Congratulations then to Bostock, commiserations Fulchester, although it does open the door potentially for Haggis a little bit later tonight. Next up, we got Locomotive Boston against Dragons. Now, this is interesting, this one. You've got Loco Boston, who seem to have had a change of tact the last few games. They've gone ultra attacking by their standards, have scored a fair few goals and in good form. And then you've got the absolute elitist squad that's been put together at Dragons, struggling down in 12th and in abysmal form. No win in 4, just 1 point in that run as well. After a couple of decent wins to 0, they have had some rotten luck in there as well. It's fair to say, but it's just not been good the last few game weeks for Dragons, has it?
No, and they've been. The thing is, it's so annoying in this league, and I've been there when I've settled to be competing or being better stat wise and not getting a result. But sometimes it's easier to be knowing you're competing and know you've got a bit of bad luck. This Dragons team has been, I think it's been decent all season. The way they've played, competed every game. They've not, apart from, I think, the only game against Gazelles. It's the only game they've been battered, and it's mad. Again, it's a bit like Burn. Burn have been in the same position where they've been created a lot. They've been very good, and just not getting results. And it just aren't. Duggan must be tearing his hair out, same as Ian is. Just like thinking. But again, not going mad, sticking to something normalish, and just like we go again. it's probably the way of going about it.
Ian building up the pressure on the away side, saying with Bostock winning, Dragons need something here. So let's have a look at the team. We've got David's out injured for this one. So that's the Said come in at defensive midfield. Bishkan gets brought in at right wing back with the lad's name, who I'm not even going to attempt, moving further forward into attacking midfield alongside Ortega. Ferron taking the armband in centre midfield. It is a strong squad. It should be capable of much more and much better than what we've seen so far. But you would never rule them out in any game. Interesting for me, a very defensive looking bench. The only attacking player is carrying a wrist injury.
Yeah, I think Dan's is very, very versatile. He can play in a hell of a lot of positions. And you look at the other options, are they worth having on bench? Probably not, as well. So
I think that's a bit harsh. They've got Carew, they've got Heskey, who are fully fit strikers. And let's face it, when they're down in 12th, clearly it's not working so far. Do they not try something different?
no, I mean, Morientes has been fast. You've got to pick a striker on, but I'm on about midfield and defensive midfield options behind. I don't think there's all else there. Maybe Carrick, but Lazen covers a lot of stuff.
Potentially soon to be Swindon manager Michael Carrick.
Well, it's taking Tom Grennan with him, and it sounds of what you've just said.
I do hope so. Michael Carrick making Tom Grennan his first signing at Swindon would be an absolute dream. Let's have a look at the Loco side. I built them up in the little intro there. They make two alterations. So Tudor, who was playing centre back for the last game, he moves forward into defensive midfield, replacing Makalele, with Klompe coming back into the side. Rui Costa coming in for Cassano, who drops to the bench. And you'll notice that it's not Montella up front anymore.
Well, I mean, Rui Costa's had a rough ride. I think he's been on bench. He's not. Look at that. He's brought him in, and his stats are still. He's an advocate of Greaves, and I agree with him with how the Super League set up. Age is not too much of a factor. I think
we say that, but we've just been saying about how the players can't recover in time.
Yeah, well, but Rui Costa's not 35, 36 like Desai, Lizarras, and them are. So, and he's not played much as well. So I think it took me after Greasy. I've said I think they did good business. Dimbo said the same. Zanoni on right wing. As much as he said about me nicking his formation from the AFCON, I did all right. I was talking to him over there. Zanoni, out and out, is the right midfield player. Then all of a sudden he plays a winger with Zanoni. So I'm going to get me a little bit of my own back and say I've told him to play him there and he's doing all right. Del Vecchio's the one that playing on left wing is probably not so much the and yeah, he's 50% goal scoring record this season with an assist, 100% goal contributions this season. So to be fair, if he carries on not playing, I might want him back because my strikers are absolutely demic at this present minute in time. So
well,
can't be much.
Can I ask you for a score prediction, please, Steve?
2-1 Dragons.
2-1 Dragons. Almost the one very early there for Loco. Dragons coming forward now. They missed their first opportunity of the game as well. A fast-paced start by both sides here. Either side deserving to take the lead. Looking at the names certainly getting involved. Looked a harsh decision, but Dragons failed to convert the set piece. Excuse me. Half-hour mark now. Still very entertaining. Both sides going at it. And there's Segalco opening the scoring on 30 minutes for the away side. Now looking for a quick-fire double. But Loco coming straight back at them. And there's still plenty more in this first half. Never mind the game, you would suspect. Juliana goes in the book. 43 on the clock. And there's a red card. Red card 2 2 yellow cards in 2 minutes for the experienced centre half, and Duggan must be thinking, not again.
Yeah. I personally know what I think I'd be doing here.
They are 1-0 up as well.
Yeah, I know what I'd be doing here. Well, it's the luck that they've had this season. Kyoto's on a 9 there. Shows that Loco they've had a strong game so far. They've probably been attacking pretty well. Oh man, that sickens me.
Why?
I'd have been dropping. My thoughts were Shevkoviak down to DMR, Biscan back, but
or Biscan in here and Saeed in here.
No, Biscan just back at centre half.
Okay.
The centre half, but it's not my team. But I just love
Greavesy does have the option to alter his tactic to react to the red card if he so wants. Do you think he will?
No, he's obviously doing something right somewhere with Kyoto's been on a 9. There's only Larson. I say Antonio plays in on right wing. Zanone's doing all right on right wing. So you can see why there's no point he's changing.
He's keeping as is. So we will carry on to half time, where I would just like to confirm just how quick he got those 2 yellow cards. So that was for Klompe. Yes, there we go. 43 minutes he got his first after shoving Rui Costa, and on 44 minutes he got his second after he knocked Monty to the floor. So 2 yellow cards in 2 minutes for the experienced centre-back, not doing his side any favours. And look, again, Loco creating plenty of chances, just failing to convert.
Well, I said Kyoto's on a 9 for no reason, were he? But I'd rather be in Dragon's position than Loco's at minute. Again, a little bit like Astor earlier. I'll be given as much as I can give at the minute, and then that's it. But who knows?
Well, both managers have already said roll on, so we'll just have a quick flick on the stat screens before we do. Do you think Dragons have it in them to hold out against an angry and attack-minded Loco for another 45 minutes?
Yeah, I do, because they've got a lot of big players in that team. They've got a lot more to give.
Okay. We are at 65 as Monty misses another opportunity for the home side. Is it time for Cassano to come on and add more attacking intent, do you think?
Well, I can't talk about Cassano because I like Cassano, but Dimble said when everyone comes that I've had a chance to sign him 24 times and I'm full plug, so and I always have to vacate for 30 seconds. So I just really need a week.
Speaking of Dimble saying Montella's fuming at his shit new nickname. As my co-commentator decides that the tactics break is the perfect time to walk off screen and disappear, I imagine he must need his next multi-pack of Magners. I can see Greavesy is making changes. Cassano for Skulls, move to striker with Rui Costa central. Do you want an arrow on Rui, Greavesy, or not? If you could just confirm that, please. In the meantime, because I can go back, Monty sounds like an old bird's dog tied up outside Waitrose. In the meantime, let's have a look at Dragons. Still ahead on goals, but behind on players. No arrow on Rui. Thank you for confirming, Greavesy. Lazan's another option to further bolster it if Duggan so wishes. I can't see Morientes coming on at all. Would fully expect no change to be the word from Duggan. Just wait clarification and confirmation before we kick off the remaining 25 minutes. And there is the as is. So we resume the action and we'll slow it down. Montella, fine save. And now Dragons coming forward as Bowyer. A good tackle. We're into the final 10 minutes. What have the home side got in them? Petit hits it from 35 yards. Doug will be delighted to see that keep happening. Well, not so much that one, though, as Rui Costa puts it just over the bar. Scalco keeps going. Still Scalco. Peruzzi smothers the ball, though. 2 minutes to be added on. Have Loco got one last chance in them? No is the answer. Finally, Dragons are able to put in a performance worthy of the result, and they come away 1-0 winners. Ian suggested pre-match that they needed a result, and they certainly got one there. 10 men against a fully firing Loco side. Save their season, says Tato. Steve, you're back with us. I can see you have replenished the beverages. You've come back to see that Dragons have held out and won 1-0. They have essentially done a Greavesy to Greavesy.
Yeah, they've had nothing there at second half. They were 5-2 at half time. Greaves will be fuming because he's gone. He's had all this chastisation of being defensive, and he's just gone at it. And it's worth sticking with after that performance, definitely. But I mean, look at Klompy there. Just like, why is he got? If that yellow card is the only reason he's got 7, that's a joke.
It's where you see some of the other ratings. That's a harsh 7.
Yeah, it's unreal. And you know what? He deserves massive credit for when he's been going all right, changing it up, putting some different arrows on. Obviously, come later on, if he does manage to finish in the 6, we'll see him revert back without a doubt to 24 men behind ball and no striker. But yeah, there's not too much to be disheartened with. But and there's me saying bring Igor Bishkan back to centre half, but I got man at match and I ain't got a clue why.
Well, Bishkan put in a very, very good performance all round, it would seem. What he did do, he did very well. If you're Duggan, would you be slightly concerned? I understand and appreciate they had 10 men for half a game, but if you look at the middle of the pitch, you've got Veron, Ortega and Bowyer all rating a 6 by the end, not really doing what was needed there. I mean, between the 3 of them, they've only completed 2 tackles there, if I'm reading that correctly, out of 11, and you'd expected there was plenty more opportunities there for that to be done, explaining why Loco were able to create so much.
I mean, if you're looking at that, for me, and your big players have not turned up and you've gotten a result, like you go into the next game confident that they can't rate that next game because they're just the big players, the massive players in that game. And like I say, there's me saying that I put Shivkovic back to right wing back and bring Wan's come on and got an 8. Biscan's got man at match. So, what do I know?
Doug is saying that Juliano is a walking red, and Dimble saying Bishkan versus Del Vecchio, battle of the giants on that wing. Little Sim would have got bullied. But congratulations to Dragons on a crucial, looking at some of the other results, a crucial 3 points for them at the halfway point. I believe that takes us to the penultimate game of the night, and it's a depleted, I think is the word that their boss was using, a depleted Haggis team without Jeremy's, Cole and Smith away to Ledisford. So let's have a look at how that affects the team. Smith is replaced by Poway on the bench. A bench that consists of no actual strikers, despite the fact that they have Samba in the squad, they have Saha in the squad. They replaced him with a defensive midfielder. Takanadi, who came up for the reserve swaps a couple of game weeks ago, he starts for the first time this season after impressing in the reserves earlier in the campaign, alongside Mendieta and Kaluzhny, who did feature earlier this season. A couple of appearances you can see there. He comes in for Jeremy. So crucial 2 players, particularly here, missing. Do you think that will have a massive effect on how Haggis play tonight?
I don't think it will. I like Takanadi. I think he's been underused in this whole iteration, personally.
I said this.
I think he's obviously Alf likes him. I think he's just a very, very good player. Obviously, everybody has different opinions on who they find attractive in the game or not. But as in Klusny coming in at DMC and somebody like Takinari who was well-rounded as a DM, as a creative midfielder, he's not going to do the job Joe Cole's been doing. But I'd rather have him set than Patrick Powell. I don't like Patrick Powell at all. I think he's pretty pants, but look at how strong that blue line is. I mean that yellow line is. They've got a job on their hands of Leathersford, regardless of their industry. I mean the injuries that Haggis have got.
Well, Leathersford haven't been in awful form. We've seen that in that line tracker that they have been moving up the league again, and it is an altered tactic again for this game. But largely the same players. We've got Mark Kerr starting this attacking midfield role alongside Ronaldinho, who gets Zaro Van Nistelrooy playing off centre, and Diane Scally unsurprisingly continuing their partnership in defensive midfield. And Perry and Vrede very much the first choice partnership at centre back as well.
Yeah, I mean it's very Tato in it. Samak, I've fallen back in love with it because of one of Tato's saves that he was doing. I think I really like him. I used to really love him. I played with him for years and then started again on his little German thing that he did, and he just broke numbers. But he'd probably want, if there were a window, he'd probably want Luca Toni for him. He'd probably want, but he cards are for him, so he can go bollocks. But yeah, Legends has always been a big advocate of Matt Kerr playing in AMC. That four wall at the back is strong. It's very, very strong. It's enough to hold out anybody, and I think it's enough to hold out. But I think Del Piero has been pretty unused by Haggis at times. But yeah,
I would disagree, and I'll check before kickoff. But I think he's been quite heavily used this season.
Yeah, just times he's found himself on bench and not played. I genuinely think he should be starting every game for Haggis. I think he's one of their better players in the position that he plays in. But it's a strong, solid team, and I think it goes a long way if you in this league you've got a strong, solid squadding team as well, as opposed to a couple of superstars dotted.
This will be his 9th start in 13 games. He's playing over half of them.
Yeah, but he scored 5 and assisted 2. What would it be on if he'd have played every game?
Well, I guess we'll never know. Ian has already congratulated Tato, saying that they really missed their main men. They were far too depleted. Mr. Piers telling him to zip it because war is about to begin. How do you see this war ending, though, Steve, is the question.
The thing is, the things have gone for people outside or fighting for top 6 tonight in the results. Also, we've got 2 top 6. Ooh.
So aside from stating the obvious, how do you see this game panning out?
I can see Leathersford nicking it for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay, fair enough. Leathersford nicking it is the answer. And Van Nistelrooy has started very quickly with a goal on 7 minutes, opening the scoring. Mark Kerr getting involved as well, looking to double the lead. Haggis tried to get a bit of pressure going themselves. Taibi lucky to get it at the second attempt. Leathersford looked dangerous every time they got the ball, but Haggis have played their way back into it. Viduka gets booked. 26 minutes on the clock as Kerr has another opportunity. Takinardi getting involved in midfield for Haggis. Van Nistelrooy missing another opportunity. And it is 1-1. It's Casas who levels things up. A great opportunity for Leathersford goes wide. 4 minutes to be added on. Are the home side going to score again to go ahead at the break? Well, 48 minutes now, and Haggis with the last opportunity of the half failed to convert, and a pulsating first half, Steve, ends 1-1.
Yeah, good half. It seemed a bit end to end from Leathersford coming out. I think both managers would be happy they're not going in behind. but they'll both be happy with how they've gone forward as well. Yeah, the second half's going to be even more interesting than the game was beforehand for me.
Solid ratings throughout for the home side. Just looking there, fairly even distribution passes. Although I'm sure Tate will want Rayed a bit more involved than he has been thus far. Looking at Scally in particular, a very high tackle completion rate, and some key tackles in there as well. Chris Perry, particularly aerially, working very hard as well.
Oh, look at Chris Perry. I love him. I love him so much. He's up there, and I don't care what anybody says. Depends how you look at the game and how you look at editor and stuff. He's up there with the very best, and I'm loving that he's doing so well.
Tato already going as is, so we'll have a look at Haggis. Ryan Giggs, very, very quiet game by his standards. For Duca, not having much to work on. Either Del Piero and Casas clearly bearing the brunt of the work from an attacking sense. Having a look at the two players that have come in, Takanadi and Kaluzhny. They've been relatively busy, although I'm sure when you look at Kaluzhny having to make 7 tackles and winning 3 of them, I'm sure Ian would want Takanadi maybe to be offering a bit more in terms of defensive stability as well. But Ian also going as is. So anything jump out at you there, Steve, before we kick off the second half?
Yeah, I think that Takanadi's been a bit harsh with his 7 as well. He's won all his tackles, won all his headers, completed nearly all his passes, and yeah, mad at the time.
Who's Klaus?
Do
you think he means Kaluzhny?
Yeah, it means Kaluzhny. I'm guessing it means Kaluzhny.
There we go. Helguera for Kaluzhny has been confirmed. Lucky you got that one in time, Ian. Let's kick off the second half then and see if Helguera can offer that bit more defensive stability. As Ledesford come out like a train again, looking to score early. And there's another attempt, and Van Nistelrooy with another attempt. How many chances is the big Dutchman going to miss tonight? And 65 on the clock. We stop still 1-1. But Van Nistelrooy is missing a bucket load of chances at the minute, Steve.
Yeah, it seems that way, but he's still got his 8 and his goal. Echeverria, like, he's doing Echeverria bits. Everything looks okay in terms of fitness-wise for him. I can't see what he'd do without. It seems like they're playing.
Well, he's adding arrows to Rayed and Samak, and Mark Kerr is being withdrawn for Lee Chun-So.
Yeah, I get that. Samak definitely be better with an arrow. I'm surprised Rayed didn't have one to start with, because he's been AMC, he's been this, that, and other. He's been everywhere for Taylor. So,
as for Haggis, I would maybe be considering, just because of how ineffective he's been thus far, Del Piero moving up front in place of Viduka and Bruno playing in behind.
Yeah, Viduka's been very good, hasn't he, for Haggis? I think he's always worth leaving on pitch, personally. And that's a position where Del Piero's done all his damage from.
Well, Bruno is coming on. It looks like he'll be playing up front. Dimble saying that the stream would be improved if Ian could draw his changes on the screen, alluding to the season preview episode we did, where Ian didn't realise he'd brought up the the arts and crafts board. And Duggan saying Constantino needs to come home for the last 13 games. Pure romance. So all the changes done. Let's see how they affect the game. Still 1-1. Is Bruno with a chance? Fails to convert. Now Mendieta, he's brought down, tripped. He takes the free kick himself and puts it wide. 15 minutes left to go. 10 minutes left to go. Time ticking away with neither side asserting any sort of dominance. Here comes Samak Rayed. Van Nistelrooy, Chun-So, he's fouled. Van Nistelrooy's taking the free kick. It deflects off the wall. Takanadi picks it up. And Takanadi again picking the ball up. And now Del Piero, Giggs. Mendieta's fouled by Perry. Mendieta strikes free kick. It's off the wall, and Perry manages to clear. 5 minutes left to go. Now Ronaldinho on the ball. Bruno's trick. 2 minutes to be added on. 87 on the clock. Del Piero coming forward, but it's a goal kick, which Bruno now has. Bruno puts it wide as we head towards injury time. Will we get late drama in this one? Duff into the box. Del Piero, but he heads it over. If only he could have finished. And the war ends in a level battlefield, Steve. Ledisford won, Haggis won. Neither side able to score in the second half. And I think when you look at those stats, everything has been very, very even. A draw is probably the right result.
Yeah, it's massive, mate, really, for both of them as well. But I think, they've both gone at it big time, and both will be happy with it, especially with more so for Ledisford, because of how Haggis have been free scoring this season. But they've got a wall of players. Chris Perry's name in that second half again. I wouldn't be surprised if we got Man of the Match's name everywhere on text. It puts more pressure now on this next game for me and Dimble, because the results have just gone both our teams' way all night in top six.
Well, Mr. Piers saying, for fuck's sake, dull result, well played, Ian. To which Senor Campbell retorted, well played, Tato. Happy with the point with their absentees. Let's have a look at the Leicester side. And Dyer is who picks up man of the match for his performance. Van Nistelrooy getting a 9. There is no way Van Nistelrooy's only had 2 shots in that game. He seemed to be missing chances left, right, and centre, according to the text. Maybe his attempts were that shit they didn't even get to class as shots. But a solid performance. I mean, that's what 1, 2, 3 players rating a 9 within that side, adding in a couple more 8s, and no one that started rating below a 7.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Obviously, I expected a Perry 9. I expected a Man of the Match, in fairness. He'd be doing better than in Dyer at half time, but it's just in Dyer. I mean, if you look at that, the only thing that in Dyer's done better, really, is completely more passes. And I think Chris Perry's been robbed of a Man of the Match there.
Dimble's questioning your previous comment, saying, gone his way, yours maybe, he'll be about 12 if he loses. Let's have a look at the away side. No 9 rated players. Helguera came on, certainly had an impact, offered a bit more stability. Again, nobody, well, the 2 players who started that rated below 7 were both subbed off. Bruno come on, he certainly had a bit of an impact. Unfortunate maybe not to score himself. Having a look at Takanadi there. Came into the side and did a job, that's for sure. I think Ian will be quite pleased with that.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about he's got some pretty big players. Well, he's got Jeremy's injured. You can't talk about Alan Smith because he barely plays him. He's barely played him since he's had him. But Helguera come on there and be more of a calming influence than Kuzney obviously is. But I think, yeah, he'll be happy with that. And the one thing I will give him massive credit for, I've tried it loads. I've never got numbers out of Matty Duff playing on right wing. And he's doing really well for Haggis.
You call him Matty Duff?
Mike Duff.
You said Matty? Or did you say Mikey?
Maybe Mikey. Maybe Mikey.
I'll let you off. We'll claim that you said Mikey. I'm sure you called him Matty, but we'll say you said Mikey, and it was just an accent thing.
We'll be somewhere in the middle, yeah. But he's getting numbers out of him at right wing, and I've never had loads. And going to be interesting to see now the couple of what they class as iffy results, maybe. You know, when Ian's expected with all his bravado, expecting to go out and win every game. Yeah, they need a result next time out, big time.
Well, that brings us to the main event of the evening. And before a ball was kicked, we've got Dudley Hill in 4th, away to Churchtown in 7th. After a slow start to your title defence, Steve, you improved your form and you've been fairly consistent over the last sort of 5 or 6 game weeks. Churchtown have been very up and down all season, not really being able to put a run as such together. But certainly, you probably rate Dimble higher than just about everybody else because of your experience playing the game with him. You know you're in for a battle tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And Churchtown's own form since Stimble's been in charge. I've made a couple of mad decisions playing Roycer and Oliveira, but I refuse to play Saviola at AMC because he's got a 10, doesn't really do it. And yeah,
so let's have a look at the changes. So Ferdinand's back in, meaning that Addo could go back into defensive midfields alongside Kaladze. Arca is coming in at left wing back. As you mentioned, Roycer coming into centre midfield and Oliveira partnering Roy Mackay behind Inzaghi as Luca Toni's dropped to the bench again.
Yeah, I mean, Arca and Ferdinand would not have started this game if it weren't for Jovica Johnson and Lizarazu's fitness. As we saw on Thursday night, 8s and 9s were everywhere in my defensive performance, and I didn't want to change any of it. But I think Lizarazu were 84, Good Johnson were 86%, and you can't go into a game in Super League, I don't think, with anybody with that sort of level of condition to start with. Although Scott did it with 86% Torres, and he only dropped to 84 by half time and did all right. I just didn't want to risk it. My choices of MC and left AMC probably leave a lot to be desired, but again, sometimes you throw a player in on an off game and they might do a little bit of something.
Let's have a look at the opposition then. And just one change for Churchtown from their defeat away at Halls, and that is Mascoro coming on for the suspended John Terry.
And I don't blame them. They've been doing well. They create a lot with this formation. I'm not expecting a result at all, considering Tomasi has been great for him, as has Mendes Silva. I think the back four, especially when Terry's in, but Mascoro's been really good when he's come in. And Khan's been nothing like he were at Dragons since coming into Churchtown. So we'll just see where it goes. Yeah.
Okay, well, for the final time this evening, wish you the very best of luck. Wish Dimble luck as well as we kick off the final game of game week 13. Roy Mackay going in the book very early there, I believe. First minute. A lot of Dudley Hill text, certainly a lot more than we've seen in a couple of game weeks from them. Inzaghi seems to be quite involved, but not scoring yet. We get to 21 minutes. Churchtown start to play their way back into it. Oliveira misses an opportunity now at 35 minutes. Dudley withstanding some pressure. Roy Mackay getting involved. And seeing Inzaghi's name again. Oliver Kahn with a save. Approaching half-time as there's another yellow card dished out. And Churchtown finish on top with a set piece. Failed to convert from the corner. And Steve, your side came out like a train and put Churchtown under all sorts of pressure, but going level at the break.
Yeah, we've done all right, haven't we? Did see a lot of our text, and yeah, it's what we expect from a solid Churchtown side.
Let's have a look at the home side first, give Dimble a chance to react to what he's just seen. And as we say every now and then with their side, the attacking triangle of Brugge, Agahawa and Hussein, just a little bit quiet for Dimble's liking in that first half, but we've seen plenty from them to suggest that it will not necessarily stay that way in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it says up there, he's in top 8, top goal scorer charts, and it was superb from last season. Agar was at moments of brilliance throughout the season, and has done ever since he joined Churchtown. Yeah, you feel like they've got it in many time to break us down. So we'll just see what's what.
Wow, it's pretty obvious what your team have been attempting to do, with Eric Addo having 5 of your attempts so far tonight. Only 1 on target, so clearly shoot on sight is the message from you, Steve.
Seems that way, doesn't it? But you know what? Like, with results going, I feel like I want to go for it a little bit here.
Okay.
Can I bring on Saviola for Arca and swap him with Oliveira, please? And swap. Oliveira centre midfield, put Royce DML, please.
Right. Okay. So you want to go like that?
Yeah, please, mate. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, for now that's all right, mate.
So just to clarify, Steve, just before I hit confirm, you don't want to start Saviola in attacking midfield, but you want to bring him on in attacking midfield.
Yeah, to try and put some.
What I like about you when you're on comms on the Magnus, Steve, is you are a walking contradiction. Well, less emphasis on the walking as well, to be fair. But let's kick off the second half and see how that change plays out for you. Almost instant dividends, it would seem. And then 20 minutes goes by with nothing happening, and we reach 65, ready for the changes. Still very low attack ratings from Churchtown. They're just not able to get through. Maybe Santa Cruz coming on, offer a bit more physicality, or Hakan Mild coming in to offer a bit more protection, and therefore try and set up the counter is the way forward here for Churchtown. They have got 2 yellow cards that might come into consideration as well. But you must be relatively happy so far, Steve, that time's just ticking away with not much happening, because you do still look the slightly better side.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Royce's name got mentioned a little bit more. Moving to DML. Just see what starts looking like and see if I'm making any changes. I'm not one for wholesale, but don't know.
Well, interestingly, and I do mean interestingly, so we've got Volodenkov swapping to the right as Donny replaces Zambrotta, and Santa Cruz is coming on for Hussein. So it is a change of emphasis up top for Churchtown. As for yourself, Steve, let's pull up your team ratings. And Zaggy not exactly taking his opportunity here. Kaladze rating a 6, but is that because Churchtown aren't really offering much? Condition-wise, Roy Mackay, the lowest there on 78.
Yeah, I didn't want that. So can I have Tony for Mackay, please?
Yeah, and then are we going 3 up top?
Yeah, with that's it. Left, right. Yeah, that's it. That's where we're going.
Was it really?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Oh no, arrows off Addo and Kaladze, please, mate.
Arrows off Addo and Kaladze. No problem at all. So Dudley Hill trying to go for it a little bit earlier than normal, but as it's the last game, we'll slow the commentary down already. 25 minutes to play, still 0-0. And Dudley Hill going for it, going free up top. And now Saviola Oliveira. Free kick given, which Adu takes. Cleared between Ferdinand and Mascora. Now Donny coming forward. Agahawa continuing his run. And still Agahawa, but Zanetti gets in the way. 20 now to play as Tato very much approves of your tactical change. Saviola fires low and scores. And it's 1-0 to the champions. Saviola scoring on 75 minutes to give the away side the lead. Donny puts in a deep cross. Now Petrov and Donny. Abiati saves and deflected away. Churchtown trying to equalise. Here they come again. Volodenkov. Bruzink picks up the loose ball. Petrov shoots from range but misses the target wildly. 2 minutes to go before injury time. Agahawa again going on a mazy dribble. Zanetti goes in the book. Free kick awarded. Bruzink to take it. And Agahawa and Bruzink playing it amongst themselves. Donny now. Petrov on the volley, but it's a terrible effort as we go into injury time. And there's the final whistle. Congratulations, Steve Wright, with the fist pump on the camera we just saw there. a 1-0 win away at Churchtown.
I don't think this game and last game, I don't think I'd have had 6 points in the last 2 games if you hadn't have brought in making tactical changes, in fairness. So, down to you, not me. So, thank you.
I'm getting full credit for this result, am I? Let's have a look. As Duggan says, that your side looked worse performance-wise, but better result-wise than last season. Fair fucks for going 3 up top. Dimble saying that's no good, but well played, Steve. Mike Savage saying good results, Steve. Let's have a look at the home side first. Fairly decent ratings throughout. It's just as we said all the way through the game. The attacking players couldn't really get involved. Brujink's performance improved, but Agahawa had very little impact. Santa Cruz didn't come on and really do anything Hussein wasn't already not doing.
Yeah, I mean, again, it shows we've done all right when the defensive players have been all right. It sort of seems that we didn't do too much in the second half. It's calmer on 8 at half time. So, we've thrown a lot of target. But there's a goal at Churchtown. We have a reasonable record against Churchtown as well. In fairness, throughout the whole save and done all right.
G Nev picking up man of the match for his performance. You can understand why. Solid in the air, put in a lot of tackles, and his pass completion was good. Probably his best performance in a Dudley Hill shirt, to be fair. Everyone 8th through to 13th, won tonight. Question mark, says Duggan. Solid team performance all round. Again, you have been probably looking at seeing Inzaghi there and thinking that you needed a bit more from the attacking players to make it a bit more comfortable. But ultimately, fairly solid performance again. And you're certainly building any success this year on solid foundations at the back.
Yeah, it's been, considering now, like frail we looked to come end of last season with Rustico going on Bosman, Southgate retiring, Maldini retiring, and we had a reasonable defensive performance last season. Yeah, I mean, Gary Neville's, he's done extremely well in his 2 games in. I mean, it was funny because Ian always says, when he were on comms, he was saying that Gary Neville's a starting centre-back. They're on comms, and I had Ado there because I had no other option. And I said, is that a Super League starting centre-half? And it's like, it's funny, he bigs up his players that he's got, or when he's trying to sell that have never played for him, really. Or he brings off when they're on the 9 and end up losing the game. But yeah, he's done really well. Rio's coming and got an 8. Big decisions with Chiram probably back in this game, but yeah, we've done all right there, and we'll see what next week brings. But I'll be interested to see where we're at points wise now with Swans, as Swan is the man. As Swan's a man, where we are points wise from last season, I don't think we'll be too dissimilar. In fairness,
well, we can work. Well, I say we can work out between us. You certainly won't be able to, the condition you're in, but I can very quickly work it out for you in a moment. But congratulations on tonight's victory, Steve, and commiserations to Dimble. As that concludes tonight's action, and we've got the classifieds. And the one thing that does jump out: not a single home win tonight. Don't know if anyone else had clocked that. We had Churchtown 0, Dudley Hill 1, Fulchester 0, Bostock Stanley 2. Halls drawing 1-1 with Astor. It was the same result between Leddersford and Haggis. Dragons winning 1-0 away at Loco. Gazelles winning 2-0 away at Burn. And Devils coming out 1-2 losers at home to Sloths. Let's do your quick count up. So we've got, after 13 games, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 10, 13, 16... 17, 20, 23 points this season. Is that right? Dudley Hill 23. Yep, good quick maths by me there. I'm happy with that. And then if we go to last year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we've got 1, 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, 18, 21 points. So 2 points better off than you were last season.
Yeah, I thought so. But I think we look more solid than That's why when people were saying I was looking all right last season, I didn't think I was. It just felt iffy, but I feel more solid this season, in fairness.
So let's see how that affects the table then. Fulchester still top of the pile, 27 points. Haggis dropped the gap to 2 points. They're on 25. You are a further 2 points behind on 23. Loco and Devils on 20. Leddersford still above the dotted line on 19. Then we've got a cluster of 3 teams. Halls, Gazelles and Bostock on 17, just 2 points outside. A further point behind is another cluster of 3 sides, Churchtown, Astor and Dragons, which means there are 6 teams within 3 points of Leddersford. That is how tight it is at the halfway mark. And then we've got Sloths on 12 and Burn 5 points adrift at the bottom. A win for me would have been huge, says Tato, getting tight at the top like it sure is. Sunday, no, today is Sunday, Thursday. We have, or we should have at least, the pleasure of Devils manager Rob joining me on co-coms. And these are the fixtures he will be overseeing. We've got Astor at home to Haggis, Bostock at home to Dudley. We'll get your reaction to that in just a second, Steve. Churchtown hosting Dragons. Huge game that. Fulchester at home to Leddersford. We've got Halls against Northern Burn, Sloths against Gazelles, and 2 top 6 clubs currently. I believe these are the ones on the same points as well, aren't they? Devils at home to Locomotive Boston. Nuts, says Duggan. One team always goes on a run. Burn better than BTEC, says Ian Campbell. So Bostock on Thursday then, Steve. And Scott's already said he's playing one at the back.
Yeah, he says he's already going balls deep, and with it, I've made changes that have got me results at 60 minutes these last 2 games, so I probably won't be going with the same tactic, but it'll probably be boring, like it, because it's what's done us all right. But all depends on player selection, and I was a bit disappointed with Zaga, really. I've trialled that in an edited database, and in Zaga, I've never really had him doing well, and he can do well in that formation, which is why he started again tonight. But yeah, I've not got many options. I might have to wait till game week 15 and get Kevin Phillips back on job.
Well, before we sign off, the important news that people have been waiting for. First of all, I would like, as we have reached the halfway stage, some opinions, please. Everyone always does end of season awards. Let's do half season awards. Who have been the best players, best goalkeeper, defender, midfield, and attacker? And we'll put a bit of a half team of the season together, ready for me and Rob to discuss on Thursday. Look at us pricks here hanging on ready to press send on transfer messages. Indeed, Duggan. The second thing I'm interested to know, as we reach the halfway stage, in 2 games time we've got the next round of reserve swaps. When I do the team news, I'm going to take a few screenshots of all of the size reserves, and I want to know from people who they're hoping to see in the second half of the season. Might we see 1 or 2 surprise names get into the fold in the second half of the season? And as for transfers, which everyone has been waiting for, my initial idea was to allow each team 2 transfers of their choosing, whether that's signing someone in the league or outside of the league. I wasn't really that fussed. However, the amount of managers trying to prejudge what I was going to do has kind of ruined the magic for me. So there will be no transfers at the halfway stage this season, as a lesson to not prejudging what might be the case or might not. So you've ruined it for yourselves, I'm afraid. You should have not done it. You've been told multiple times. Of course, I'm only joking. Every team will get 2 transfers of your choice. You don't have to trade. You can sign for Steve can sign someone from Dragons and sign someone from outside the league. He doesn't have to give someone else to Dragons, and so on and so forth. But you will get 2 more additional transfers. And of course, anyone who hasn't used their loan yet, that's still available to you in the second half of the season as well. Other than that, I think that's everything, Steve. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
No, it's been great. It's probably what I expected with your transfers, obviously, from last season. I know it would be different for a couple of managers. But yeah, it'd be interested to see what happens there. There's obviously people chasing, people looking at cement. And it's going to be some interesting merry-go-round. Now we can start talking about it, which I've been very reluctant on the case of expecting your first port of call. There's been a little bit of a sniff just in case with 1 or 2 managers at most, because I just didn't want to do my old thing of doing a Greavesy, and like I have done in past, just like going mad. But the next game week might be pretty interesting.
It may well be. Again, thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure, Steve. From myself and the defending champion, enjoy your next few days of transfer negotiations. I've fairly pretty much sent just about every available player on the database around, so there'll be screenshots flying about. But if you want anyone in particular, then let me know ahead of when I do the packs tomorrow night, and I'll try and search them for you. Confirm them anytime, Fifey, just as and when. Yeah, obviously, ideally what I would like is to make it as straightforward as possible. If you've got any agreed, I will be doing them at the same time as I process the packs and stuff. So like either tomorrow or when you send your team in, etc. They don't need to be done for the next game week. It's just once you have them agreed, then I will start processing them. But any other questions, fire them through. Packs will be out tomorrow when I get in from my son's martial arts class. But from me and Steve, it's a very good night from Super League HQ.
Now, lads.